your identity, your purpose, your destiny.
Remember, your strength comes from your yieldedness to the process and journey. I don't know that God is necessarily concerned about making us happy. I think he's more concerned about making us holy. It's never God that's questionable. It's always our obedience.
Welcome to Becoming Whole, the podcast dedicated to shining light on things in the character to help you become better, stronger, and more aware of who you are and who you are called to be. And now, here's your host, Daria Elizabeth.
Birthing things. Birthing things. Let's talk about birthing things. When God begins to birth a thing in your life, everyone will see it. The way that you know that God is starting a thing in your life or initiating a thing in your world is that people will speak to that thing. And it's not something that you have to make them say. It's not something that you have to prompt them to say. It's not anything you even have to do, really. It's just that people will automatically see, and in some cases, God will give people an advance. Listen, not everyone who is in your life now will be in your life forever. Can I just say that again for someone? Some people are seasonal. You know, my mom used to say, some people come in your life for a season, some come for a reason, and some are there for a lifetime. And when you are classifying or categorizing people in your world, you have to put people into the right compartment. And if you don't, you can end up getting emotionally injured and fracturing your soul. Some people are in your life for a reason, and some is just a season, and some is a whole lifetime. And you have to be sure to categorize, classify, and know where to put folks. You know, I once heard a minister preach on the 70, the 12, the 3, and your 1. You have to know in your life who's in the 70. And don't give them access that the 3 have. And you need to know who is in your 12 and who is in your 3 and who is your 1. And so when you're going through trauma and hardship and life, and especially when you're birthing things, there are certain things that you will not unveil to the 12. And I'm sorry, I didn't preface this. When I say 70, 12, 3, and when I'm talking about Christ's crowds. So we have the 70, we have the 12 disciples, we have the 3, Peter, James, and John, then we have the 1 John. And so that's what I mean by 70, 12, etc. When you are birthing things, you have to know who you are able to bleed out on. You cannot bleed out on the 70. The 70, they're there for you to pour into them. They're not there for you to bleed out on them. The people that you bleed out on is your 1 and maybe your 3. You have to know the people that are in your circle. I love how my old youth leader always used to say it. She said, know those that labor among you. Know those who are around you. Know their disposition, know their character, know their emotional capacity. Know those who are around you. And so part of birthing something and letting that thing come to full fruition is knowing the people that are around you, knowing who can handle what. Because there's some people who are around you who will say they can handle God birthing something in you and don't have the capacity to do it. And if you, again, do not put people in their right spaces and places in your life, it can lead to frustration. unmet expectations can lead to frustration and can rupture relationships. And so when God is bringing something forth in your life, in your ministry, in your marriage, in your heart, in your mind, whatever he's doing in your finances, when he is birthing something new in you, and when you feel like this is a move of God that might be a movement, or a move of God that might shift the trajectory of your life, or a move of God that might plant you in a certain space or place or give you a certain level of authority or dominion in a certain arena, you have to know who you can talk to, who you can cry out on, who you can bleed on, as I always say, who you can, be around and say things that need to be said and heard. Talk your mind when you need to talk it out. Just like they say, the first couple of months of a woman's, when a woman is pregnant, those are some of the most delicate stages because the fetus can die. And I have some friends who, when they initially got pregnant, they didn't say anything to anyone because they knew that the initial stages of that pregnancy can be, aborted. A miscarriage can occur. Different things, can transpire in those first couple of delicate, developmental stages. And so it's the same thing, as it is in the natural, it's the same thing in the spiritual. When God is birthing something in you, handle it with care. Treat it delicately. Do not allow anyone just to run up on you and just to run up, into what you're doing and just to say a million things to you about their views and opinions and, what they think. Same thing with the relationship. If God has brought somebody into your life and you feel like this might be the person that is the will of God for your future, don't tell everyone. People have a way, and I know of unions that were aborted on account of them opening their mouths prematurely and letting the whole world into their dynamic. Now let me clarify. I'm not saying don't have accountability. That's not what I'm saying at all. And I'm not saying do not have voices of reason in your life and a community of people or a small circle of people or people who you trust, i.e. mom, dad, youth pastor, mentor, leader, grandma, whoever it may be in your world that speaks, life to you. I'm not saying do not have a set of people or a group of people, whether it's 3 or 5 or 2 or 1, whatever that looks like for you, your journey. I'm not saying do not have people as voices of reason in the midst of this thing, because you need that. You need that. Anytime you're entering into something new, you need people who have been there before to give you language. You need people who have been there before to clarify the way. You need people who have been there before to give you perspective, give you direction, give you clarity, give you understanding, grant you wisdom. You need people who have been there before to just really, really kind of set the tone and the pace and what it should look like and what it probably will look like on the other end. So it's important to have those voices, but do not there are some people who go on this big posting, this posting rant, this my new man, change their relationship status on Facebook, will post a whole bunch of pictures on Instagram, do all these things, and then 1 month later, they've broken up. Whenever something is in its infancy, keep your mouth closed. Allow God to do the work that he needs to do in that thing. And when he does the work that he needs to do in that thing, let the work speak for itself. Do not glorify a thing up front without allowing the process to go through. Because in that way, If the process doesn't go through, you look like a fool. But allow God to glorify that thing his way. Come on. Come on, somebody. I am preaching. I am preaching. Allow God to glorify the process in his way. You don't glorify it up front. You keep your mouth closed, be silent, and allow God to glorify the process in the end his way. And I promise you, anytime when God glorifies the thing, it is well glorified. He knows how to let it reach where it needs to reach. He knows how to let it reach to the ends of the earth. He knows what to do, what to say, how to get. He knows when we allow God to glorify a thing. And part of the reason why we speak so soon about matters, not just relationships, but anything that's in its infancy. Part of why we speak so soon about it is because of pride. Is because we want to be seen. Is because of status also. We want to be looked at in a certain way. We want to have a certain amount of clout, a certain amount of, notoriety, a certain amount of whatever it may be. But the power of your journey is in your ability to be silent and let the Lord rule and develop you internally along the way. Because as you're speaking about it, yes, you're getting the glory, but then also people's mouths are being put on what you're doing. And again, I'm not saying don't have voices that will not speak into you, because that's a necessity. But make sure, again, you know who your one is, you know who your three are, you know who you can come to for business advice, relationship advice, financial advice, you know who you can come to, for wise counsel and insight. Know the people around you. And whenever it is that God begins to develop a thing in its stages of infancy, make sure that you have gathered the right people around you. People who know how to keep their mouth. Listen, you have to vet people. You have to vet people. Not everyone who says they can keep their mouth can. And I'm going to say this. If someone is talking to you about someone else, do not be deceived. Most likely, they're talking about you to somebody else. And I'm not talking about if you are discussing something for the sake of opening up and for the sake of airing that thing out to find resolution to the conflict. Not what I'm talking about. But I'm talking about the malicious intent behind it. I'm talking about the motive behind it. And so when God is birthing something in you, make sure that you gather the right people around you and that your mouth is silent until God is ready to glorify that thing, and you will see victory on the other end. Be encouraged.
Thanks for listening to the podcast. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future episodes of Becoming Whole. Tune in next time for Becoming Whole. And remember, the world needs you whole.